Hi, I'm Ryan Pilling, the Internet Marketing Geek. I'm going to show you how to set up the pages in OpenOffice Writer for making your ebook a little more interesting than most. We're starting from a blank document, brand new document, and what we're going to be dealing with is page styles. So under Format, open up Styles and Formatting. And you can see there's different kinds of styles. There's paragraph styles, which we'll be working with in a future tutorial about doing your content. But today we're dealing with page styles over here. So click on Page Styles. And what we want to do is edit the default page style. This is going to appear on every page unless otherwise set to a different style. So under Default, right-click on that and go to Modify. And we're going to start setting up our default page. We'll start over here on the Page tab, and the first thing we'll do is set the orientation to landscape. What this does, it flips the page on its side. Most ebooks are up and down. We want one that goes the long way because this fits better on a computer screen when you're reading it on your computer. Saves you from having to zoom and scroll, and it's just, I find it a lot easier to read. So set that to landscape. We also want to set our margins to 0. And this is actually for the background that we'll be adding. Otherwise your background will have a big space around it. We want to set those to 0, and we'll fix this later so your text doesn't bump up against the edge of the page. But set all margins to 0 right now. Okay, step 2, go over to the background section, and this will pop up a little warning about your margins. Just say yes to that. Background, we're going to set this to an image or graphic. So choose a graphic, and then you need to browse on your computer for the graphic file. What I've done is made a full page background image, which you can download from the blog post here at theimgeek.com, and select that image, and you can see a little preview of it. All it is a blue bar on the top and a blue bar on the bottom. And we want to position this. Click on Position. And I like to click on the top right corner, but it doesn't really matter because it's a full page graphic. But this just ensures that it's going to be in the right place on your page. Alright? Now this little checkbox here for link, right now it's unchecked. This means if you link it, you can see it shows the exact position of your graphic image. If you link it, that means when you change that graphic file, it will automatically update inside of your ebook. So just in case I make changes later, I'm going to keep that linked. Now let's go to the Header tab. We want to add a header, so just put that on. And for spacing, let's put that to 1 centimeter. That just adds a little bit of spacing between your header and your content, which we'll get to later on. Alright? We'll also add a footer, so just check the footer box, and the spacing on that should be fine by default of 0.5 centimeter. Now borders, this is where we fix the margins. Because as I said, we'd set the margins to 0 so our background goes right to the edge of the page. But we don't want our text going to the edge of the page. So we can fix this with border spacing. First thing we need to do is actually put a border on the page. So over here, go set all 4 borders. And you can see this is now drawing a box around the page. Because the margins are 0, this will actually be on the very edge of your page. I like to set the color of this border to white rather than black. So it'll be a mostly invisible line around the very edge of your page. Now spacing, this is going to become our margins. So I'm going to set these to 1.5 centimeters and synchronize it so that they're all the same. Now depending on your background image, you may have to adjust these, and we'll take a look and see how it looks to see if these need any adjustment in a second. Finally, let's look at columns. Because we flipped to a landscape orientation, it would make for a very wide column, which makes it more difficult to read and more difficult to follow, as well as more difficult to do your layout later on. So I like to switch to 2 columns. You could even do 3 columns, but I like to stick with 2. And let's put a bit of spacing in between the columns. Usually 1 centimeter is just right. You can add a line that will run down the center of the columns if you like. I don't worry about that. And that should be it. So let's click OK and see how our default page layout is looking so far. Okay, now you can see it's added the blue bar. You can see a tiny little white border around the page there. And these are our columns. Now, there are gray lines for the columns. Those don't actually show up on the printed page. That's simply for editing, so you can see where your columns are. Now, we do have an issue with our spacing here, because you can see our header, which is this gray line here, is overlapping our background, when in fact we want it to be up a bit more, so it's right over the blue bar. Our footer is alright. It's where I want it, above that blue bar. But our header is a little too far down the page. So let's go back to our page style and modify it again. And under borders, spacing. So we have to unsynchronize, which means we can change just the top border. And let's put that down to just 0.5 centimeters, half a centimeter. And again, click OK. So now you can see our header is up where we want it in the blue bar. But now our columns are inching a little too close to that yellow bar. I'd like to see a bit more space between that yellow bar and the top of our text. So again, back to the page style, and under header, spacing here. That's the spacing between the header and your content, so let's bump that up to 1.5 centimeters and click OK. Now you can see there's a little bit of breathing room there, which will make it a lot better. So there you go. We have our page set up, and let's just add a little bit of content to our page layout. Not the main content, but to our headers. So I like to put the title of the book into the header. I'm calling it My Fancy eBook because this is fancy stuff. And you can change the text, the font of that. You can make it larger. And because it's on a blue background, I will color it white. Now, if you hit the tab, it'll go over to your first tab stop, and you can put in the author. And what I'm going to do is actually adjust this tab so it aligns right. And I'm going to drag it all the way over to this side of the page. However, this tab stop got in the way, so I'll just move that one over. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'll put that one in the center, make that a center aligning one, and then I'll just hit tab again so it's over there. So now you can have your title there, your authorship there, and this header will automatically appear on every page. Okay, let's go down to the footer, and again let's adjust the tab so we have a center tab there and our right tab over on the very far right. And let's insert under the insert menu. We want to insert a field and page number. You can see it says 1 there, and it's shaded in gray, which means it's an automatic field. And I'm going to move that to the center of the page. And I'm going to write the word of, and I'm going to insert another special character field, page count. So right now, because we've just started, it says 1 of 1. And I'm just going to auto fix that for me to capitalize. I don't want it capitalized. 1 of 1. So now on every page it'll say 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10. It'll automatically do your page numbering for you. And the last thing I like to do, I'll just move this box so we can see. I hit tab and just put in your website address. because especially if your ebook gets passed around. Whoops! Oh, we ended up with a tab stop there. I want that over there. Especially if your ebook gets passed around, you want to make sure it links back to your website in more than one place, and the footer is a good place to do it. So I'm going to type that in, highlight it, and under Insert, I'll add a hyperlink, and set to web, so I will type in my full website address, and just apply that, and close. So now you can see that is a clickable link, and that'll appear on every page. So that's it. You've designed your footer, you've got a new header, you've got a page background and columns. You're well on your way to designing an ebook that's going to look a little better than the rest. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to check back for more in the series from the Internet Marketing Geek. I'm Ryan. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.